on this one, this is -2, and this has to be a +2. So now that I've done that, I need to figure out what has been oxidized and what has been reduced. So if I take a look here, it's 4:42 p.m. Monday, and it looks like my battery's about to die. I didn't charge it. Real quick, so my students did a learning experience again today. I called several of my students in the back and I assessed them from stuff from last week. I graded the assessments that they took last week, and many of my students did pretty well. Many of them got the highest grade possible, and then some students like straddled between like proficient and then exceeds expectations. And then there were several other students who they need some remediation. So I'm thinking about ways that I can do that while the other students are getting ahead. So I'm gonna go before my camera, my low power battery, dies out on me. It is 5:02 p.m. Tuesday. I'm sort of running into a roadblock with the whole standards-based grading pilot. Not specifically the standards-based grading, but the module where the students can kind of go on at their own pace. So I had some students that are advancing ahead, which is expected. Then I have some students that are maybe a module or two behind. For whatever reason, they're absent, or they went back and they wanted to watch something again. And then I have some students that were absent, or part of this I'm thinking I probably should have did it a little bit differently. So for the voltaic cells assessment, which many of the students went above and beyond, what I asked, and some students that have historically struggled, they also did really well. It was an open response, and they included all these things beyond what I had asked. So what I did was I used a copy machine to scan all their samples into a PDF file, and then I was able to write on the PDF file and then upload it to each of their Canvas pages. So there were students who looked at them, but then I think what happened was, because they knew they could reassess, they went back to look at their notes and watch the videos in class to try to understand that, which is fine, but I think I needed to structure that differently. Perhaps me working small group with those students and seeing where they were struggling at, beyond just putting comments and questions on their paper. I should have worked with them one-on-one, or not one-on-one, small group, or if it was a small, or if there was just one student, I should have just worked with those particular individuals, and I didn't do that. So it caused them to even fall further behind. So I just need to figure out a better system for making sure that there aren't students that are like all the way over here, and then students that are like all the way over here, where I'm gonna be stressed out trying to manage all of that. I'm gonna grab the rest of my stuff and I'm going to head home. It is 4:42 p.m. Wednesday. Couple things. So one of the reasons I'm glad I'm piloting this whole standards-based grading and differentiated module that I'm doing this final grading period is because while still supporting the students, I'm able to make mistakes with the students that I know. I have time over the summer to plan, because my goal is to implement it next school year. One of the issues, and I said this yesterday, and it's right now just a struggle for me, is students being at different places, and me not being able to right now juggle all of that. And there's potential reason why, but I'm going to talk about that in another vlog. Something that I recently found out, but that's my struggle right now. Today, what I was hoping was that students that were ahead, they would take their assessment, and then there were some labs available for them to do. But I put a warm-up on, and then I just had like these blank stares. Some of the more accelerated students, like I heard them talking and using the language, but they were still struggling a bit. And then other students, I've been told this before, but I got told this today, that they just weren't watching the videos. And I was glad that the students were honest with me. Like, yeah, I didn't finish watching the videos, or I only saw one of the videos, and I just didn't have time to do it at home, or I have other classes and they're more important. Okay, fine. And so I need to figure out like how to manage that, because right now that's where I'm struggling, is trying to manage students in different places. And I probably should have kept some type of management system on my computer where students are at, but then also like with my videos, I didn't use, like earlier in the school year where I used Camtasia to track students watching the videos, taking quizzes in the module. I didn't do that for this particular setup that I'm doing right now. So I need to think about like what I'm going to use. My phone is ringing. Sorry, my phone is ringing, and sorry, my hair's like a mess. It's always, there's something going on with like the AC here at the campus, and so it's very humid, and I'm just not even, school's almost out. Why even bother trying to do my hair? So yeah, I just have to figure out like some type of management system for juggling the students. The other issue is that I have some students that have missed not only my class, but they miss other classes, and they're starting to show up at this point, whether they're placed on an attendance contract or they're just showing up now. And so they've missed, I don't know how many days at this point, and so trying to get them caught up. And so it's just right now, like I need to kind of, I'm making notes of what things that I need to work on and think about over the summer if I want to implement this and execute it really well next school year. I have the rubrics down for each of the standards, and luckily for me, since I'm only covering a small number of standards this grading period, it's not a lot that I have to write. But if my plan is to implement standardized grading, then I'm going to hopefully have all the standards for the fall semester written, so that way I can work on the spring standards over the fall semester. So yeah, that's where I'm at. Also, I had my post evaluation. I actually got my feedback on Friday, and so I did actually much better than I had thought I did. Actually right on par with my fall semester. I think the only area that I went down was differentiation. I scored the highest in that in the fall semester, and I knew that because that's some place I struggle with when I do labs. Whereas when I did like the station activities, you know, students start picking and choosing, there's reading, there weren't like any lab or chemical things out. So that was understandable why I got the highest score when I did the station activity sets. But then the lab, I tend to like to control that a little bit more, just because of the nature of what they're doing with the chemicals, and the students are learning those skills. So that part I understand, but everything else went fine. Actually was very happy with the scores, and I think, as I said, that week that I released that particular vlog, after I sat and thought about it, like I felt like I did better than what I had actually felt like during that time. Again, there's a potential reason for that, but that's going to be in another vlog that I will talk about that. I'm going to grab my stuff and I'm going to enjoy the rest of my evening. It is 6:09 p.m. I'm here because I was trying to find if we had certain lab equipment in like the physics section that would allow me to do some other experiments that I would like to do with my students. There was some stuff that I came across, but I'm staying here a lot longer than I want to be. And then I'm also shooting videos because my students need a little bit more practice. They're starting to get it, especially with only one day. But I realized that the reason like the students are able to access the modules, because in my test module that I'm preparing for next school year, like I created this thing where the students had to answer like an assessment real quick to check their understanding before opening up the next one. And before I went to bed last night, when I was trying to brainstorm like what was going wrong with my pilot right now, I realized that, oh, I didn't do that for the modules that I set up for this pilot round. So I need to do that with the last couple of weeks that we have left. Next week is EOC testing, and I found out that I'm not administering a test, and so my classes for the most part really won't be affected unless students, for some reason, they're taking tests, unless the AP, because many of my students are taking AP World History, so maybe that day I will be affected, but I don't really foresee me losing a majority of instructional time next week. So I'm gonna get my stuff and get ready to go home in a few. It is 5:29 Friday. I'm here longer than I wanted to be, but I can't really talk about the reason why I'm here later than I want to be. It doesn't involve me, but it involves, well, I guess it does involve me, but I can't really speak about it. And I wouldn't speak about it even if I could. So my students, they took an assessment today over sonic oxidation numbers and redox reactions. And one of the great things, and I keep meaning to show like samples of the work, so I'll do that next week, but of like samples that my students did for the voltaic cells and my rubrics for each of the standards, so that way students know kind of where they need to score, like if they're looking to get proficient or mastery. So even though I put the assessments on the Canvas site, and I put like a numerical score, but I probably should not have done that. I probably should have just put 0 in. But I just told the students that even if they got like a 4 out of 10, that wasn't really their score. Just to make sure that they showed their work, I would scan their work into a PDF file, and then I have this tablet, so I'm able to write in the PDF comments to the students, and then I just extract the pages, and so each student has their own file, and then I upload it to the Canvas site for that particular student, so they can open up their own PDF, see their work. They can also see my comments written on the PDF, so I can give them individual feedback, but at the same time I don't have to carry like all this paper home with me anymore. Like I can work on grading their assessments and providing feedback at home or like a coffee shop or wherever, traveling if I want to. Not that I would actually do that. So that's what I was doing before I had to step out of my room real quick and deal with the situation. With that said, I am going to go home and enjoy the rest of my weekend. And next week is actually EOC. I think I said in the last vlog that the EOC was this week for the other courses, but it's next week. And luckily for me, I don't have to administer that. Well, that's it. If there was anything about this video that you liked, then make sure to hit that like button, comment down below, and or share the video. If you haven't already done so, make sure to subscribe so that way you can bond with James. And if you're interested in checking out some of my other vlogs, you can do so by clicking on any of the links right here. As always, thanks for watching.